In this video, we'll be repairing a 2012 Mini Cooper valve cover. Got the new valve cover here, and I'm be excited to show you all once get things going. Gonna pop up in the hood.
There you go.
All right, so this is the component I'm gonna be replacing. I'm gonna drag you guys a little closer, get you on up inside engine bay here. Decided to make this video because I didn't really see any other good reference to this specific valve cover model. This is a N18, if I'm not mistaken. It's for a R58 Mini Cooper S Coupe. And we're gonna start by disassembling and taking out the old valve cover, seeing what the procedures are step by step. The main reason I'm replacing this is due to an issue of some oil seepage into the coil, ignition coil area. And I think that's what ruined the previous plugs. So we're gonna go ahead and do this repair and see if everything goes well. Just as a shout out for ECS tuning, this is the new valve cover, bright red. The first thing that you wanna do is you gotta take off this front plate. The engine is cooled. I haven't rode it for a couple hours now. So I've let it cool off. And this is just a pop pin, as you can notice here. Just pull those pins out, and look on our new valve cover, you can see that there's the pins that will be pulling out. Don't forget about the little rubber pieces that are on the ends of the plate. The other one is stuck currently in my old valve cover, so I want to make sure that I replace or pull it out before I put the replacement on so I don't lose it. All right, so I got that little wedge out. It's kind of sticky. Slide it back on there. So now I've got both. Next step is I'm gonna start taking out the actual ignition coils. These have a little hinge on them, so you'll pull up the cap, and when you push them out, it will release the wiring. You just have to whittle it out. We can go ahead and pop up the other cap, see if I can get some coverage or clearance. And this is the harness for the wires. Just gonna pop that up. So I released it from the back. I'm gonna pull this up so it free hangs like that. Gonna go ahead and do the other two clips. Pull that clip back, it unseats the cable. You can whittle it out. Same thing for the other cap. Whittle it out. Okay. These actually have a little catch to them. See the clips? Gonna make sure those clips are pushed in before you try to pull them up. And please be gentle. You don't want to break off any of these. So I got the wiring off. There's some harness in the back that we're gonna have to detach. And there's also a ground wire that's on the top of a bolt. Ignition coil are just snugged in there. Just pull it straight up and they should unseat fairly well. So let's start with this one. You might want to twist a little bit. Try not to lean too much on the handle. Yeah. Add a little suction there. We're gonna do this for the other two. Tight little area with this hose. Be careful of that little metal bracket. Don't mess up your hands. All right, so we got all the coils out. Uall. So I got the coils out. You're gonna get these wire harnesses out of the way. There's the ground wire I was talking about. It's got a nut on top of it, a little peg there. You gotta get this hose off, and you've got sensors right here that you're gonna have to take out. Got your O2 sensor cable that actually runs along the ridges. Also, and a few other wire harnesses up here that you'll need to clear before you can take up. All right, I'm gonna begin by taking out this little hose compartment here. So for now, I decided just to take off this bracket for this hose. I'm still trying to figure out how to disconnect it from the actual valve cover right here. I will be addressing that as soon as I get the valve cover off. Next, I'm going to start taking off the cabling or the wire for the O2 sensor. So release that from the valve cover. There's a little clip right here holding this wire harness on. All right, make sure you're disengaging or taking out your wire harnesses that are around about the valve cover. But you may have to just cut the zip ties for now and come back to it once I got the valve cover off. Super useful technique for these clips. Unfortunately, I broke this one that covers the sensor here, or holds the sensor. But for the other ones, what I found is you can just literally brute force pull them up. I used pliers, but you're welcome to just use by hand. That's what I did with this one in the back here, and left it zip tied. First thing we'd like to unbolt are these sensors. You got two here, and they're 8 millimeters. There's no need to unplug the sensors because we're just going to push them off to the side. Okay. I'm going to push you off to the side here. And next is you. Right underneath this hose. Push you off to the side there. I think these sensors, there's one more bolt back here that's kind of important. It's an 8 millimeter. It is the ground wire. May want to use your handy dandy magnet tool. The ground wire is off the stud. I think I'm going to go ahead and take the airbox off because it's going to be very hard to get those cables out from behind without having that extra room for my hand. I'm going to use a T20 Torx bit for the first three here. First three bolts on the end facing me. All right. This is a T27 Torx bit. Put the bolts to the side. Might have to finagle a little bit to get in there. Once you get in there, you're in there. Be careful not to drop the bolt or screw. Or you may even want to use your handy dandy magnet tool. All right, so now I can remove this from the actual intake housing. This part has 2 clips in the back. Has 2 clips in the back where you just pull up and out. Now, this part, we've got torque bit or torque head plugged there, and I think the rest of it is just a mount, like it's a pin that you push on top of. This is going to also be a T20 torque bit. Alright, you got a lot of motion there. And it just pulls right out. Okay, and now we can play a little bit. I don't have to take it all the way out because there is an intake hose that comes in from the outside. It's a lot more room. So there was a pin here. It's holding this wire harness, a pin here, holding that wire harness, and I couldn't get the socket in on top of this nut. Had a little bit of resistance, but I was able to pull the pins out. And they're already zip tied for me, so I'm not gonna take this out in a moment. There's actually one more right here. Oh, that's one of those clips that I don't know about yet. So I'll have to clip the zip tie on that and try to figure that out soon. Fortunately, I was able to brute force this clip out. So I'm gonna have to investigate to see why I couldn't get that out off earlier with a pick tool. Looks kind of complex. Okay, the rest of these bolts are gonna be 10 millimeter. I can go ahead and take care of them one at a time. There's no particular order when they're moving. Just as a note, these bolts will not be coming out. They're actually in the gasket. I saw that when I looked at the new setup, and I'll show you that whenever I get this one off. Saved me tons of time. Because it's not allowing my... Just barely got it. It's like there's 2 bolts in the middle that we'll have to reach in and grab. So those bolts are deep in those holes there. Maining a magnet into the valve cover. And we'll just have to see. I'm gonna pull out all 4 spark plugs so I can make sure there's nothing holding back the valve cover. Alright, so it was in a bit of a jam, but I started with these 2 that are on top, and I jerked them free. Let's start with the other end. Oh, it's pretty free too already. And this would give me a good indication of what's still holding it on. So, I'm about to pull you out. Alright, so that one's no longer a threat. These back here, they're playing well, most of them. That's playing well. Just make sure all your cables stay out of the way. And shouldn't be nothing else holding you back. And we're gonna go right up. Beautiful. This is the inside. We finally got the valve cover off. Just had to tug on each of the bolts. As you see, the bolts are seated within the gasket itself. So that gasket is what keeps it plugged into there. And you can see it on the new one too. They're set in there. Even though I got it upside down, the bolts are not falling out. Now I'm just gonna clean the brim. Everywhere where the gasket's gonna be. I'm gonna clean that down with some brake parts cleaner. Compliments to 1A Auto or TRQ for their video suggestion. This would be what they suggested to clean everything out before putting the new gasket down. So I'm gonna do that, and then we're gonna see what happens from there. Got my gloves, got my towel, and I got the brake parts cleaner. So we're gonna spritz this on here. Oh. All right. And it's cleaned down. All right, I think I got everything cleaned down pretty well where the gasket's gonna be going. So now I'm going to go ahead and put the new valve cover on there. Just a note that on the new valve cover, when it arrived, during shipping, some of the Phillips head screws could have worked loose. So I went through and made sure they were all snug. Just make sure you do the same, or check with your valve cover manufacturer to make sure that's not a warning that they'll give you. All right, let's go ahead and try to figure out the rest of this. All right, guys, took a little bit finagling, but got the new valve cover in. It's looking pretty sharp. Had a slight bit of damage right there from that little hose. Had to also take off an additional sensor to get it in there. Just gonna have to whittle it back and forth until you figure out what's holding it back, because I had a lot of scenarios where stuff was holding it up. So just keep an eye out for that. I'm gonna tighten the bolts, and tightening first. Doesn't matter which order you go with the hand tightening. I'm gonna go over the order in just a little bit. There is a specific order, and the torque is gonna be 90. All right, you're gonna torque these down to 90 inch-pound, and I'm going to be going in a specific order, and I'll do it over the top view and show you the order. All right, you're gonna wanna do this back one first with a stud. Then you'll do this one next. That's number 2. Number 3 is gonna be the driver's side bolt near the spark plugs. Next, you're gonna do the passenger side bolt in the spark plug area. Then you're gonna do the middle of the timing chain, the rear of the timing chain, and then the front of the timing chain. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7. Then you're gonna do this bolt. That's gonna make it number 8. So this is gonna be your next one. And then next. So 9, 10. And then you're gonna have this one, number 11. And then the one in the back, number 12. All right, so that ground wire, I'm gonna put it back on and tighten up the 8mm bolt. that doesn't need to be any more than snug. Put this sensor back on. I'm gonna clean the electronics a little bit before I plug it back up. I got the cables put back into their slot at least. Now I'm gonna do the sensors. The two sensors that were right here. Remember, these sensors are plastic, so just snugging them is enough. I got the wires seated back in these little clips. Unfortunately, this one broke on me, like I mentioned earlier in the video. So I'm gonna have to get a new part for that. But now we're gonna work on getting the airbox back in. If you recall, there's only 4 bolts for the airbox that we took out. There's one T20 down here at the bottom. The rest are just push pins. You plug them in. And then you got the 3 on the top cover. T20 Torx bit bolts. And then we got T27 bolt right here, 2 of them for this hose. Guys, I put in my spark plugs, torqued them down to 17 foot-pounds as recommended online. If you have a different spec, go buy your reliable source. I've got the airbox in with the hose secured. Now my next thing is to clean these cables and put in the coils. That's next on the agenda. I got a little bit of an idea of how to remove this hose. So here's the hose. This one twisted about this far and then worked its way down. What you have to do with the clip that's on there, unfortunately I did snap one of the clips that were on the part. So in the back of the clip there's a raised edge to slide into the clip. So I put a pick tool and pushed that out and it popped right out. So there is a way to salvage this clip. Unfortunately, in order to get the hose off, I put too much pressure on that side clip that you see that's broken there. So I hear that they're only 10 bucks if you needed to get an extra one. May even try to use without it because the hose itself actually does slide into the tube without the clip. The clip's just like an extra hold, I guess. Just be aware that clip is very brittle, and how I got the hose out is right here. I put some pliers in between the clips. Well, this one, since it broke, I only had to put a pair of pliers on this one, and I was able to force the hose off after you turn it, so you can see this little engraving here, and then you force it off, you pull it back. Alright crew, now that I've got the hose off, I'm going to put it on here and reinsert it into the intake side. To give a little more detail about how this clip works, and because I really found no available resources other than a few forums, and it was all talking, there was really no visuals. So this is the clip. I hear you can get it for 10 bucks on some websites. This is how this clip works. If you notice, there's a raised edge on this end. This clip pretty much just fits over that and slides back. So I've got it on there on the raised edge, and I'm going to slide it back onto that little groove, and you heard the click. So now it's there and it shouldn't move, so that's there. The hose itself, how it works is this end expands on that end that's raised, and that's what keeps it held on there. So I'm going to attempt to put this on here so you see how it expands, maybe. How it expands. Once you got it on, it should twist into position. So it should twist in position after you press it on there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure this lines up to the middle here. I got it fitted on there nicely. I'm going to line up the hose to the intake portion. All right, I put the cover back on top of the valve cover, and this is a job complete. Just make sure you get your wires seated into their original positions, and you are good to go. Thanks for watching, and hope you enjoy.